Hello and welcome. Jesse Ventura, Vietnam veteran, former pro wrestler, actor, politician, author, radio and TV host, has been nothing if not outspoken and controversial all his life. Born James George Janos, he changed his name and parlayed his colourful wrestling career into a multitude of opportunities, eventually running for and winning the race to become governor of the US state of Minnesota, and over the decades flirting with the possibility of running for US president. But in 1987 he made the jump into movies, signing to co-star with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers in the alien adventure thriller Predator. The movie was largely filmed in difficult and dangerous Central American jungles and proved to be a substantial challenge for both the cast and the crew. It was launched as a series of press interviews in New York, where I sat down with Jesse along with several American journalists as he held court and talked about his wrestling, shooting the film, and whether there were macho-clashes of egos on the movie set. Jesse had become great friends with Arnold as a result of working together on Predator, and the question was asked, would he like to be trained by Arnold to wrestle his great foe, Hulk Hogan?
Would you really want to do it? Be trained by him
and wrestle Hogan?
Yeah.
I'd rather do a film.
Me too.
No, I mean, to be honest with you, I'd rather do a film.
When you say you've been wrestling, we've been hearing about these jungle conditions to this film. It didn't sound like wrestling.
And also that wasn't wrestling. No, but that was a year ago.
Oh.
No, when I say wrestling, what I mean is I'm not getting my body pummeled. I'm not being slammed and thrown around. I train every day. I do aerobics now. At least 3 to 4 times a week with 2 Crystal Light champion aerobics instructors. And plus, no, truthfully,
really?
Yes, yeah, David Gray and Jim Miller from Minneapolis are Crystal Light champions. And I love aerobics. There's nothing greater than to sit in the back row and enjoy the scenery. I mean, it sure beats a dingy old weight room, watching meatheads. And I think as you get older, I think you become more conscious of a cardiovascular workout. And when you're young, you can carry 280 pounds and not worry about it. But as you get a little bit older, I think you become more conscious of training, to live to a longer life.
Are you at you're wrestling?
Yes, I'm down to about 245 now. When I wrestled, I was about 265.
How tall are you?
6'4".
Did you play?
Is Arnold 6'2"? Maybe if he wears my Cuban spiked heels, he might be. I don't know if he is. I've never measured him. He might be. If he says he is, he is. I don't know.
6'1". Sounds like a full movie.
Yeah, I don't know if he is or not.
Did you guys sort of hit it off right at the beginning?
Yeah.
Punch each other in the shoulder.
Macho
thing for each other?
I don't think so. I don't think Arnold and I have to outwardly display macho things like that. I think Arnold at times is very sensitive, and I am too. And Arnold, let me say, is a dream to work with. I feel very fortunate that Arnold was the star of my first film. Because Arnold is virtually when you work with him, he is not on an ego trip. He'll tease you as well as the next guy. But the great thing about Arnold also is Arnold can take it. Many people can give it, but they can't take it. Arnold can give and take both. And one thing you can guarantee about an Arnold Schwarzenegger film, you'll have fun doing it, which is a big thing, to have fun. And the other thing about Arnold Schwarzenegger that in my relationship with him in the last year is Arnold's the type of man, when he looks you eye to eye and tells you something, you can take it to the bank, that it's the truth. And that's a rarity today, not just in Hollywood, it's a rarity everywhere, that you can truly trust the man when he tells you something.
What was bad about you as a bad guy? I mean, you were a bad guy.
In wrestling?
Yeah. I mean, what was your particular thing that made you bad?
Do I? Not at all. Not at all. What was my thing about as a bad guy?
Yeah.
Wrestling?
Yeah.
I always felt it was more important that you win rather than how you play the game. The winning, of course. I didn't have the amateur wrestling background, and so I would do what it took to win.
You don't have any amateur wrestling record?
Oh, of course, some,
Yeah.
but I was not like an NCAA champion or somebody coming out or an Olympic wrestler, and I relied more on strength and cheating.
What type of cheating?
Pulling hair, pulling tights if it was there, why not? It's no different than holding in football. It's not cheating unless you're taught.
So that's what this kind of...
That was my wrestling attitude. And then my broadcasting attitude in wrestling is that I apologize for nothing.
That you had done in the past?
No, what I say on the microphone. I do not apologize for anything I say. If Jesse the Body says it, it's so. At least in my mind, it's so, and that's all that it matters, not anyone else's.
How much work goes into choreographing the falls and that sort of thing?
In wrestling?
Yeah.
None.
It's all real.
None.
It can't be all real.
It can't be all real. Are you imagining it?
Well, if you put a couple of guys into a ring as big as you,
let me put it to you this way.
You could physically destroy each other.
Let me put it to you this way. Well, you can physically destroy each other in rugby.
Well, absolutely.
Okay. And let me put it to you this way. Anyone who doubts wrestling, I have no problem with that. Let me body slam them once and they can give the answer.
Hulk Hogan did that. Adrenaline.
To who?
Didn't Hulk Hogan take adrenaline?
He did that to the... No. It was the guy...
Morning television.
Well, that he insisted upon being put in a wrestling hole. And then when he was put into it, he was knocked out. And when Hogan let him go, he fell and cracked his skull on the floor. And then everyone was in an outrage that Hogan should be sued. Why? This guy asked to be put in a hole. He didn't believe. And that bothers me a little, of how people always like to yell fake until they force a wrestler into an altercation, and then they sue him and take him to court, and then it's not fake.
Yeah, but you don't have to be a wrestler. If you're 6'4" and 245 pounds, and you pick me up or any of the guys here, you're going to do a lot of damage to them. But when you get into the ring, if you really went at it full tilt, you wouldn't be back again for weeks.
No, not necessarily. You can go at it full tilt. I'm not out to destroy anyone's livelihood. You can go at it, a football player goes at it full tilt. You can go at something full tilt and still not have intent to maim.
Do you find people have gone after you in public because, what they've seen on television and challenge you?
No, not usually unless it's a crowd situation, because when you're 6'4", 250 pounds, generally that helps you be a pacifist, because most bullies only pick on people that they know they'll look good picking on. Well, when the guy's 6'4", 250, they know they're going to get hit back at least once, generally, and whatever. Let's talk Predator. I don't want to talk wrestling. We all are talking wrestling. I'm retired. I'm an actor now. I want to establish myself as an actor. I think Predator is going to do that. I don't want to talk wrestling.
It was actually more difficult than you would imagine. I understand the set was, the location was quite hot, and the ticks and snakes and all that.
Yeah, there were coral snakes there. I would always check the ground before I, had to lay down on it or anything. But, it was very hot. It was very demanding. There were very few level places to stand. You were always on the side of a hill. Plus, I had to carry Painless.
Yeah.
And Painless weighed 75 pounds. My weapon, the weapon in the film.
Painless is called a minigun?
That's a legitimate...
It sounds like a much smaller weapon than this thing.
No, it's a helicopter minigun that was used in Vietnam on the helicopters called Puff the Magic Dragon. And it shoots 6,000 rounds a minute. And it's electronically fired 7.62, which is the same as the M60 machine gun. And they claim it'll put a bullet from a helicopter. It'll put a bullet every square foot of a football field. Yeah, and it's a 6-barrel Gatling gun.
Yeah.
It totally, that's what it is. And it totally couldn't be used as we used it in reality. Because, number one, it's electronically fired. It
you
fires
had cables
off.
up
Yeah,
your
I had
ass?
cables that they would run up my pants leg and come out and splice into this weapon. You know, and also the reason it couldn't be used. The great thing about Hollywood is the fact that you never run out of ammunition. Which, you know, and this gun, you know, the backpack I carried held 850 rounds, and I would fire through this in like 10 seconds. You know, cook right through this thing, but you never run out, and that's nice. You know, but it was an interesting. Surprisingly, the weapon doesn't kick a lot. It just torques a little bit to the side. You know.
You've been grounded by the cables.
No, it fired well, you know, and I think it's a first in the film industry. I don't think they've ever seen that weapon shot like I shot it. To my knowledge, I'm the first person that's ever handheld and fired it by
Tell us a
hand.
little bit about the camaraderie there. I mean, was it macho? I mean, did you play jokes on each other?
Oh,
Yeah, were you the one that put the frogs in Maria's bathtub?
Right.
Told you
Yeah.
that.
That's,
Do you people think I would do something like that?
Well, yeah.
Well, if you want the truth, I mean, you know, what I did was nothing compared to what Schwarzenegger would do to people.
Oh, yeah? What did he do?
But I don't dare tell you, because
Yeah,
if we do, it'll be in the Inquirer. And,
No, we don't write for the Inquirer. Besides, you're bigger than he is.
No, I'll leave that to our. No, there was great camaraderie down there, and I don't think that there was any macho-ness per se amongst all of us of being any more macho. We worked hard when we got down there. We patrolled. We had to teach the actors. I needed just to refresh up a little bit because of my background. They didn't have to teach me how to be in the jungle, being a Navy SEAL. Are you familiar with SEAL Team? Navy. It's a Navy Special Forces. That to me, it's the toughest training in the United States military. And I spent 4 years in SEAL Team. I had 2 tours to Southeast Asia, 9 months and 8 months. And that's basically why I felt that I was blamed 15 years ago. You know, it was kind of like, for me, a Peggy Sue got married type thing. Where, no, it was kind of unique that you can. I think everyone dreams of being able to go back, say, 15 or 20 years in their life, or any amount of time, and relive something. You know, relive it again with the knowledge you have today. I mean, everyone's heard the thing, boy, would I like to go back to high school with those girls and know what I know today. You know, that type of thing. But, so that's what it was for me in the film, was a chance to go back a little bit and relive something that I was highly trained at before. Except in this,
because that was a real life and death situation.
this time, I think it got rid of a few ghosts, maybe. I mean, the first time I went out there and we were practicing, my heart was pounding in my chest when I hit the jungle. And in a way, I was back. And in a way, it was good. When my wife came down in the middle of filming, and I don't recall this, but she said at one point we were in bed in the middle of the night, I bolted straight upward in bed. And she, like, of course, you know, and we weren't married when I was in the service, and she, of course, you know, woke up and what's wrong? And I guess I just mumbled, don't worry, the area's all secure. Then I went back to sleep.
Did you do that when you came back from the service?
I don't know.
You don't remember any of that?
I don't remember per se any. I mean, I remember everyone has dreams, but you know, I don't really remember them bothering me consciously that much, because being in SEAL Team, you're a volunteer, you're a professional. And a lot of people have asked me, you know, how would you rate Platoon, the movie, being a Vietnam veteran? I feel this way about Platoon. I think Platoon should be shown to all high school seniors, to show them what war is really about. That it's crime, that it's pain, that it's suffering, and it's the worst thing man has ever come up with to entertain himself. And I couldn't relate to the inner faction of Platoon, the fighting amongst the, you know, the pot smokers and the drinkers. Because in SEAL Team, you're all very professional, and there isn't that. And I couldn't relate to the, quote, cherry situation. You know, of new guys continually coming in and being put as point man because they didn't mean anything. Well, in SEAL Team, you deploy as a platoon and you return as one. I mean, if someone dies, of course he'll be replaced, but he'll be replaced by another SEAL that has gone through the same training you've gone through. And so I could, and the nice thing about that was, by coming back as a platoon, I don't think I faced the traumatic experience of being in, at that time, a very unpopular war and being by myself. You know what the most traumatic thing I faced when I came back from my first deployment? I went in at age 18. I spent 1 year being trained as a SEAL. I went overseas and did a 9-month tour, so I was coming back a couple months shy of 20 years old. And when I returned to the United States, I could not walk into a bar and drink a beer because I was a child. So what does that tell you? They send children to war? Quote that, please. Do they send children to war? Because I could not have a beer.
But you went back for a second tour.
My second tour of the war had ended, but I went back to the Philippines. I would have gone back again. Yeah, it was my job. I committed to that job. I told the United States government I would give them 4 years. SEALs are a very elite volunteer organization. They're the elite. You know, and of course I would.
And your brother was he in your platoon?
No. We were in the same basic team, but not the same platoon. In fact, my parents had to sign a release for that to happen because of that thing that happened in World War II where all those brothers were on the same ship, and the ship was sunk and like 5 brothers all died in it. And so, but my parents had to sign a release that allowed us to be in the same team. But the team itself can be divided into 8 different platoons or whatever.
So are you saying that, you know, the SEAL thing is basically was a positive? I mean, it's interesting about all this because this
of course it was positive.
Glorifies, you know, guerrilla action and
I don't think it glorifies it so much. I think it's a science fiction film.
It is, but I mean the subject matter is manly men shooting other manly men.
Ugly aliens.
Yeah, maybe
it's
so.
But
okay, I look at it this way. Please don't say that it's within the Rambo.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but don't say Rambo.
Rambo.
Rambo strikes me the wrong way. I don't care for Rambo.
Because it has to do with Vietnam.
No, because it makes it look like if we'd had 2 Rambos, we could have won. You know, and it made the Vietnamese look like idiots, and they're not idiots. You know, they were very the NVA was a very accomplished professional army. You know, and they're not idiots. And Rambo portrays them as such.
Soldier with masculinity. Let's put it that way. With the ultimate masculinity.
Maybe it is. I mean, war, let's look at it this way: war is the ultimate game that we've come up with. Because in war, if you make a mistake, generally you are unlucky, you die. And where in football you can commit a foul or whatever and you lose the game, but you're still back next week to play again. And what's lost is forgotten.
Yeah.
War is the ultimate game.
So are you saying that in the sense that that's fun? Or that's,
no, it's not fun. Not at all. I had a job to do. I committed myself, and I promised the United States government they would have 4 years of my life when I signed the papers. And I did that and was honorably discharged.
Do you feel, I haven't seen the film, I'll see it tonight, but do you feel that these
You're going to love it.
I look forward to it.
Well, surprisingly, let me tell you something. The reaction from women, who are usually not your action-adventure advocates, has been very good.
No,
I mean, the girls have been coming out.
For years I've been interested in these sort of films, where in the past, you know, not at all.
Yeah.
I don't know, I can't even explain it.
Maybe it's the women becoming more macho. You know, the women's role is changing a little more, and they're becoming, you know, I mean, Israeli soldiers, I hear some of the best are women. You know, so maybe it's a machoism that's developing amongst.
I do gravitate towards the weights in the gym these days. Maybe that's
It's a vicarious thing.
But my question is, this type of film where you're, you know, prevailing over, you know, aliens, okay? And do you feel that, does this appeal to you that, I know, it gives an American, when I mean to say we're in troubled times right now as far as our feelings towards war, but do you think this is a positive view of war and that you can be heroic? I don't know your role. But I mean, the general.
I think. Well, I don't want to ruin the film for you then by saying too much. You know, but I think that as far as looking at an action film, how do I view it as opposed with our society? Combat.
I mean,
I look at it like this. Movies are fantasy to begin with, right?
right.
Why not, as a public, go into a theater and live that fantasy in a theater, as opposed to having it in real life? You know, why not go into that theater and sit down in the dark with your popcorn and your soft drink and become whatever is happening on that theater and see the shoot 'em up killing and all that, and get it out of your system there in a fantasy world.
Especially war.
Yeah.
Well, the
Live the
question
war
is,
that way.
In the same sense, you're saying that Platoon should be shown to 18-year-olds, but presumably as
Because-
to
take away the romance and that war is some glorified great thing.
But this is the other side of Platoon, isn't it? This is like shooting is something neat to do, isn't it? I mean,
I don't think so. I think I think 18-year-old kids could take that into perspective.
They weren't having fun out there.
there's like there were buddies, and there were they were
it
against.
still didn't look like fun.
I don't think it glorifies that side of it. I think the focus is on, they've gone in to do a job first, but suddenly the focus, because we know from the opening shot that something else is going to happen.
Yeah.
There is this other thing here, so the
Don't
focus.
wreck it for her now.
Well, the opening shot was
No.
But sure.
The focus is on something else.
In fact, I would have taken, if I had control of this film totally, I would have even did that more. Because see what the storyline is on the alien? He's on a safari hunt through the universe. The same.
I know what the story that bothered me.
Okay, he's on a hunt. This alien is like a hunter on safari, and he has a computer in his thing, and up comes the planet Earth. And he feeds into he's very intelligent. He feeds into this computer what on this planet Earth is the ultimate animal to hunt. And out comes man. From that point, he subdivides it even more and says, what man is the ultimate to hunt? And out comes a guerrilla warfare fighter, a combat commando soldier. And then that's where his computer then locates a place on this earth where these things can be found. And that's Central America.
Which country is it supposed to be taking in?
I would guess Nicaragua. I mean, that would be Central America.
You never say that, but
no, of course not. But I mean, here I would say it's Nicaragua. That's where the war in Central America is taking place. And so that's what this alien is doing. He's hunting. Humans to him are no different than ducks or whatever that man hunts. And that's why when you see him with the collection, why he's collecting. Mm-hmm. The skulls and all that, because he's taking them home. Those are his prizes. Much the same as the guy, the safari hunter now will have the bear on the wall or whatever that he decides to shoot. And I will go and tell you that when I came back from the service, I never picked up a weapon again until this film.
Ooh, that must have been weird.
Yeah.
This is the first time you had
And I won't hunt animals. I would prefer to hunt man. Because to be very honest, animals don't hurt anything. Men screw up a lot. And I couldn't shoot a deer. I couldn't do it.
Did you hunt before, when you were a teenager?
Yeah. Yeah.
You couldn't shoot a man for screwing up a lot.
Depends how bad he's.
Depends how bad he's.
The wrestling character taking over here.
No, but truthfully, I could never shoot a deer. To me, they're too beautiful. I couldn't do it.
Do you hunt?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
In your background, was there any choice that you were thinking of before wrestling? Did you just go right into that, or was it?
No, I came out of the service and I went to 1 year of college. I played college football for 1 year and I didn't like it. I was a 22-and-a-half-year-old freshman who had been through combat and had played the ultimate game of war. Well, to me, football was not the ultimate game, but the coaches seemed to think it is. And I couldn't handle the fact that they would put winning and losing at such a high priority. I mean, if everyone tries 100%, the ball isn't round. It bounces funny, and officials make strange calls sometimes. You know, and I mean, you don't live or die by this game. It's not that crucial. I mean, if you tried as hard as you can walk away with your head high, saying, hey, we gave it our best shot, we lost. Somebody loses, has to. So I quit football. I didn't care for it. I found wrestling to be more to my liking because it's totally individual. And not only that, but I mean, look at football players. I mean, they all talk alike, they look alike, except for the color of their skin, and can you imagine? And like in wrestling, I could develop Jesse Ventura. Jesse Ventura could be what I created. He could be anything I wanted him to be. There's more artistic. Can you imagine me? You maybe can't. You're Australian, right? So you won't know what I'm talking about. Can you imagine me in the NFL? With my persona, I could guarantee I could have Pete Rozelle committing suicide in 24 hours. Because, I mean, look at, he went schizo over Jim McMahon wearing a headband. You know, I mean, what would he do with Jesse Ventura with feathered boas and multicolored uniforms and earrings in? You know? And that's why I chose wrestling. You know, that because wrestling allowed me to be more artistic, and you know, you'll never see a bland wrestling interview usually. Right. You know, yeah. I mean, it's very entertaining. That's why, you know, and it's so popular. I mean, we hold the indoor record now for the largest any event of indoor capacity. Yeah, 93,173 in the Silverdome. Broke the Rolling Stones record of 87.5 at the Superdome. WrestleMania 3. You know, and they say it will be broken this fall by the Pope. But I figure he's got God on his side, so it ain't fair. You know, and not only that, he ain't did it yet. You know, until they're there and until he breaks it, he ain't did it yet. You know, I guess.
What is this watch?
That's my watch from the service.
Seals?
Yeah.
It's really...
Seal emblem, jumping, square.
Jesse, how do you feel seeing yourself on a big screen? You've never had a chance to do that before. You know, you've been on camera a lot, but was the big
it was
screen
exciting. Oh yeah. I mean, I think everybody. I mean, who hasn't at this table at one time in their life fantasized about being a movie star? If you tell me you haven't, you're lying. Everyone has.
I wouldn't lie to you.
Everyone has. And so it's very, very exciting. Yeah, get away from my shoulder. This guy stands over me like he's hovering.
What about the music? You had a band?
Yeah.
What was the name of the band?
The Soldiers of Fortune.
Soldiers of Fortune.
I did. No, I did. Yeah, we did. I met a guitarist named Mark Orion who was phenomenal. The guy's the closest thing to Stevie Ray Vaughan going. And he would write my music for me. And I'll tell you, that did more for my acting almost than anything. Because I'd never sung before in my life. I had never played harmonica before in my life. And I went out in front I played First Avenue where Purple Rain was filmed by Prince to a capacity crowd. And I had never, ever sung before in my life.
Is it scary?
Very. Oh, very. We sang rock and roll. We did 9 or 10 originals. We did cover tunes of Eve of Destruction by Barry McGuire. Yeah. We did a funked up version of Lou Reed's Walk on the Wild Side. We did Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones simply because they refused to do it and are chicken to do it anymore. You know, because of bad things that have happened. And what that did for my acting, that gave me so much confidence. I thought, my God, if I can pull this off, I can do anything.
What was some of the titles of the originals?
Two-Fisted Rock and Roll, The Strong Survive, Big is Better.
Trend.
Yeah. And it's been so long now, I've forgotten many of the songs. You know.
Wrote these?
No, Mark Orion wrote them.
How do you spell his last name?
Orion, like Orion Pictures. I call him Orion, but a lot of people call him Orion. You know, and he was my guitarist, songwriter. He's in fact down in Austin, Texas now.
Did these have wrestling references?
No,
Big is better thing? Or something?
Big is better is, well, that could be taken two ways. You know, I would always dedicate that to the girls in the crowd. And
what's the second way?
Oh, the second way is they don't know if I'm speaking of war. And,
Have you done an album?
I did a picture disc. You know, that is two 12-inch picture discs with two things on pictures on each side. Of the one of them that refers to wrestling. When I did that, The Body Rules, you know, which is about myself. And but since then, we pulled away from wrestling and wanted to show legitimacy. And yeah, I played First Avenue, and we called it. We went around the Midwest and Minnesota, and we called it the Manure Tour. And not because it stunk, but because when you get out in the farmlands, that's what you smell. And in fact, I've had people say to me, you should make a film of that. You know, the Manure Tour.
Did you have t-shirts?
You know? No. Oh, no, we didn't go that. You know, we went to places like the Cove in Superior, Wisconsin, and First Avenue in Minneapolis, and different top rock and roll clubs around the Midwest. And it was very enjoyable. And in fact, one last note on that, I had never played harmonica before in my life. And I walked up and played harmonica on a thing called the Soldier of Fortune Blues. And Mark, the key to harmonica is you buy it in the key of the song, so you can never be out of key, no matter what you play. And in order to cover it, we called it New Wave Harp. Because that way, no matter how horrible I sounded or played it, by calling it New Wave, it was fine.
What was your costume?
Oh, I'd make 3 wardrobe changes. Oh yeah, I'd come out.
Winter costumes?
Both. I do. But yeah, I make 3 wardrobe. We'd have the pyrotechnics go off in sympathy for the devil when I'd hit the part that said, to end this tale, just call me. And I'd point Lucifer. We had a whoop, a big thing of smoke and flame go up in the air at the Lucifer part. You know, so, oh yeah, and I would love to do it again when I get time. You know, I would. It's a lot of fun. Although I will say rock and roll is the filthiest business I've ever been involved with.
Filthiest?
Meaning everybody lies. Everyone's lying in the rock business. That at least at the level that I was dealing with it, no one tells the truth. Everything.
The club owners.
The club owners, the record labels, the promoters. They all lie and they all try to cheat you. And it was horrible. And that left a very bad taste. The artists themselves, they're terrific people, and they're fighting to make a living. You know, and to be artists. And all these middlemen are horrible in the world of rock. You know,
Movies is a better idea.
Much.
Jesse turns 73 this year and remains a colourful and outspoken figure. There's been some speculation early in 2024 that he might run as an independent candidate for US President later this year, but he declines to comment.